You're listening to the Just Go Bike podcast. We're all about the culture of bicycling just for the fun of it. Your host, Kathy Murphy from the Morphology podcast and Andrea Parrott from Parrott Talk are joined by a wide variety of guests each week that delve into the social side of cycling. With tales from RAGBRAI Nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now, here are your hosts, Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
And that's me.
Hi, Murph.
Hey, AP.
Well, this is it.
Dun,
The
dun, dun.
important and uber popular episode that goes live before RAGBRAI.
That's right. It is the overnight towns of RAGBRAI, where we interview. I basically caught up with someone from each of the overnight towns to talk about what we as riders can expect, and support vehicles and support drivers, what we can all expect when we go into each community.
The crowd goes wild. Yeah.
Wait, was that
This is one of my-
was that your crowd noises?
That was my crowd noise.
Awesome.
This is one of my favorite episodes that happens each and every year.
Me too. But before we get into the actual episode and all the interviews, let's talk Just Go Bike on RAGBRAI.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is my favorite topic.
Okay, me too. And by Just Go Bike, I mean the podcast, not the active verb of getting on your bike and riding.
Well, they're both pretty great. Okay, so listeners, when you get to the expo on day 0 in Glenwood, make sure you look for the Just Go Bike booth.
Yes, we will be broadcasting just like last year, broadcasting and interviewing riders throughout the day.
That's right. We're going to be in the compound with some of the other RAGBRAI vendors. I believe that we're next to Shimano and Laser helmets, Shimano sandals and Laser helmets. So come and look for us. Other days we're by Primal. We're always really close to the RAGBRAI merchandise trailers. But when you get there, there'll be a message board at our booth, and it'll list out the times that we're recording. So if we're not actually there when you stop by, you can always find us when we come back.
Yes, we have several other obligations throughout the day, so we'll be hit and miss at the booth, but most of the day we should be there.
So if you want to be on the Just Go Bike podcast, day 0 is your chance. Maybe you have a fun RAGBRAI story you want to share, or maybe you want to tell us how far you traveled to get to Glenwood. Or maybe you work at a fire station and you want to tell me all about it, which has happened before.
Yes, AP will happily, actually I will too. I would be happy to listen to a fire truck story.
Yeah.
Or like you and your significant other maybe met on RAGBRAI, or maybe you're celebrating something significant or special on the ride this year. We want to hear it. Pretty much, I would say, AP, correct me here, but I would say pretty much anything G-rated and related to RAGBRAI that you maybe want to share. We'll listen.
Yeah, absolutely. So once the ride starts, we'll have a booth set up in each overnight town. So stop by anytime and get a photo with our fat heads, which if you don't know what a fat head is, come by our booth and it will be obvious. During the day, I will be on the route doing social media, and Murph will be riding her bike. So also doing social media. So you don't have to hurry to get to the booth. We take the average amount of time to get there compared to anyone else. So, come see us whenever you get the chance.
For sure. And day 0 is going to be your opportunity to actually record with us, where you can, we'll put the microphone in front of your mouth and you get to talk. But once AP and I reconnect on the overnight towns, we'll be recording in the evening if the area isn't, if the band is right next to our booth, we probably won't be recording. And we do have some interviews already set up with some of the townspeople. So you can stop by and watch. There may be a chance for you to be on the podcast, but if you really want to be on, day 0 is your day.
Well, and like I said, we'll have our message board right there with us, so you'll know what the situation is and when we'll be there.
Yeah, and when we when our booth gets set up, then we'll also know the situation. And if the band's right there, we're probably going to be dancing and, enjoying the band and not trying to talk over them.
Well, yeah, and I don't know about you, but I have maybe a 95-degree limit to when I'm able to talk coherently. So if we're in the sunshine and it's like over 100, we're going to say, nice to see you, we'll record tomorrow.
Yeah. So I will tell you, one of the interviews that you're going to hear in a second, I don't know what connection they have, but they were, pretty close to guaranteeing that it's going to be beautiful and a little bit of a tailwind.
Oh.
Yeah. So
okay.
anyway, enough about us and all of this, right?
Now is the time to get out your notebook and take notes, because someone from each and every overnight town from RAGBRAI 51 is going to tell us what to expect in their town.
Yes, I got the chance to talk to each overnight town, and man, it is an understatement to say everyone has been working so hard to get ready for us, and they are so stoked for us to visit.
Yeah. Huge shout out to all the volunteers and committee members who have been working endlessly since February, or maybe even before then.
Right, yeah. And in the show notes to this episode, you'll find all kinds of links to those communities. But of course, your best resource, well, besides this podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your best resource is going to be the RAGBRAI website.
Yeah, we have so much info there at your fingertips, including maps, entertainment, camping, parking, and so much more.
Okay, everyone, we will see you in Glenwood. Come visit our booth. Until then, here are the Overnight Town interviews. We're kicking off the biggest episode of the year. And of course, we all know that we'll be starting our RAGBRAI in Glenwood. And with me right now is Jenny. Hey, Jenny.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and this day is going to be interesting because, people are driving to Glenwood, so people are going to have more time in Glenwood than they will in any other community. So that's kind of an advantage for you to showcase Glenwood. So before we get into that, will you tell the listeners your role and, anything that you want to share with us about you?
Sure. My name is Jenny Davis, and I have been the executive director of the Mills County Chamber of Commerce for exactly 2 years now.
Oh.
So, hey, what better way to really break me in than to decide to host RAGBRAI?
So obviously you have not been on a Glenwood RAGBRAI committee in the past, at least in your current role, but has RAGBRAI come through Glenwood before?
Yeah, great question. This will actually be our 8th time hosting RAGBRAI, the start of RAGBRAI. So we are going to be tied now with Sioux City. So it'll be their turn next.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. And okay, so this is an interesting question that I'm seeing a lot on social media and in our inbox. When we kick off from Glenwood, is the town on the river?
It is not.
Aha.
We are about between 6 and 8 miles from the Missouri River.
Okay, so I know in the past when we've been in Glenwood, the community brings the river to us, and I don't have a problem dipping my tire in a pool full of water or whatever you have prepared for us. But is there an opportunity to actually go to the river?
There is. Thank you so much for asking. Our Ride Right Committee chair, his name is Josh Kendrick, just an amazing guy who also rides RAGBRAI. So we are so happy that he's here in our community. He has organized with a private landowner down on the river rides throughout the afternoon on Saturday, July 20th. You all will meet him every hour on the hour between the hours of 1 and 5 in the grassy area of our Subway restaurant, which is just south on Locust Street on our main our main drag. And there will be guided rides to the river, which is going to be about an 8-mile ride there, and then 8 on the way back, of course.
And you said this is private land, so this is probably a big deal that we're allowed to, dip our tires.
Yeah, I really want to give a thanks to the landowner, who is Clay Lincoln. He owns a couple of businesses in town, but also owns a campground down there, and he has volunteered to give us all access to the river on that afternoon.
Oh, that's great. And of course, if you miss the opportunity to ride with the group, I'm assuming that you will bring the river to riders who don't want to ride on day 0.
Absolutely. And that will be located near the high school, right on your route out of town.
Perfect. Okay. Well, give us a brief history of Glenwood, maybe a fun fact, how old the town is, whatever you want to share with us.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite facts, it always makes me laugh, is Glenwood started out in the mid 1800s named Coonsville. So if it hadn't been changed, you all would be starting your ride in Coonsville. Uh, Coonsville was settled by Mormons, and then they left shortly after that. And we are named Glenwood because of a Presbyterian pastor who came after that. And another fun fact, Glenwood Springs, Colorado, one of my favorite places, actually named after our town.
Ah, really? Wait,
Yeah.
does that mean you have mountains in your town? They wanted to look just like Iowa?
It's so funny you say that. I actually refer to the Les Hills of Glenwood as mini mountains because to me, they really do remind me of, I mean, they might as well be Iowa's mountains.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. We don't have mountains, but for riders who have never experienced the roads of Iowa, you're going to be in for a treat as far as hills, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so day zero is what we usually call this day because if you're not, going to the actual river to dip your tire, you're not on your bike. So tell listeners what they're going to be doing on day zero.
Hopefully exploring our town,
Yeah.
exploring your RAGBRAI Expo, eating and drinking at our local establishments, and listening to live music. It's going to be a great day.
And will it be easy to figure out where the expo is in correlation with like maybe where the campgrounds are?
Yeah, so the main campground is near our high school, which is just a couple of blocks east of where the expo will be held.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of charters will be located at the Glenwood Lake Park, which is also, it's honestly just really right in a row, right in one line. You don't have to go too far. You're welcome to ride your bicycles up to the expo, which is located on our historic town square. We're going to have bike parking for you. Otherwise, it should be a really nice walk.
Mm-hmm. And of course, riders can go to the RAGBRAI.com website to find out all kinds of information about the expo. It's free to attend, all that great stuff. So I guess before we get into what riders can expect as they leave town the next morning, what sort of like entertainment do you have set up for us?
Yeah, so there are quite a few activities going on in town. What will be at our beverage garden that we're hosting is a band out of Omaha called Daniel and the Deliverance. Their tagline is "Not Your Mama's Bluegrass Band." I don't want to give too much away, but they take any kind of popular song, whether it's newer or older, and turn it into a bluegrass style, and they are just so fun and entertaining.
Awesome.
That evening, we also are the host, of course, of the opening ceremonies for RAGBRAI.
Mm-hmm. And tell us about that.
We are still finalizing plans. We actually met with Matt and Ann from RAGBRAI yesterday and still wrapping up plans for that. But you'll hear from the mayor that evening, I believe myself, and then one of our largest sponsors from Pinnacle Construction here in Glenwood.
So basically, people need to get to Glenwood, find their camp spot, get your tent set up, maybe take a 5-minute breather, and then you've got to head into the main area of town to have some fun.
Absolutely. After opening ceremonies, we are going to feature Billy McGuigan and his band. They also hail from Omaha, but they travel internationally. They are, again, very, very entertaining. Lots of high energy, and they're going to be playing 60s, 70s, and 80s rock.
Ooh, fun. And then for those that get in early enough to, before the whole opening ceremonies, tell us a few like must-see places that you can make sure people go to.
Of course. Well, when you drive into Glenwood off of Highway 34, you're going to notice right away that you're going to start climbing hills. And those are our Luss Hills, of course. Within those hills, we have Pony Creek Nature Center, which is a state-of-the-art facility that was just built a couple of years ago. It's just a couple of miles off of 34. To your north, there's a beautiful lake, the amazing Nature Center, a couple of cabins, RV camping spots, really gorgeous. To your right, shortly after that, is called Mile Hill Lake. which has some hiking trails, obviously a lake, scenic overlooks, and things like that. As you come into town, we are excited to feature, of course, our Glenwood Lake Park. It is a massive park. Another lake also has one of the only outdoor amphitheaters within the state of Iowa, which there's going to be live music there on Saturday as well. There is a historical museum. We have a brand new mural on the side of Glenwood City Hall, which is right off of the historic downtown. So you can't miss that, but that's going to be a really great photography opportunity. And as you're walking from your campsites towards the mural and towards downtown, you're going to pass a very unique candy shop, sweet shop called Sugar Makery. It was started here in Glenwood, and now she has 2 other locations with another business in Omaha. But she is a genius at making gourmet popcorn, fudge, ice cream. You won't miss her. The building's loud, and I believe she's going to have some things outside of her shop as
Yum.
well.
And you can't go wrong. We're going to be biking all week. We're going to be burning so many calories. Get the ice cream, get the fudge.
Yeah, what a great spot to really fill up. Now on our town, we've got a unique cocktail bar, which I think is just going to be swamped that night. It's called Pareja. Kind of has a speakeasy feel to it. They may have a limited menu just in order to serve our guests more quickly, but it's a craft cocktail lounge, which is amazing. And then on the west side of the square is Adriano's Brick Oven Pizza. And actually, a couple of years ago, they were voted one of the best, I think, 101 pizzerias in the nation.
Ooh, wow.
Yes.
And then in addition to your local businesses, which will be open, will you have kind of the normal RAGBRAI vendors with food and other options as well?
So many vendors. Yes. We have about, I believe, 25 outside vendors.
Oh,
and
wow.
Of course, as you all know, we've been advised to be able to serve, 25,000 people in our town. And that's something we couldn't do without bringing outside vendors in. So there are gourmet hot dogs, couple of Mexican places, barbecue, funnel cakes, gourmet mac and cheese. Yes, there will be tons to eat and drink.
And we're recording this in the morning, but now I'm starving just thinking about all of this.
Right.
And how big do you know the population of Glenwood when RAGBRAI's not there?
We're a little over 5,000.
Oh, wow. So this is going to be amazing. I don't even know what that is. Quintuple your population?
I think that might be it.
Okay, so we have our fun. We eat a lot. We drink. We do all the things in Glenwood. So the next morning, we have to pack it up and start our ride. So do you have any idea what the route will be like going out of town?
It's going to be a hill as soon as you exit town.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, they are rolling hills. And as soon as you exit town, I believe is your optional gravel route for that day, which takes you a couple miles east and then takes you back north to meet up with everybody who stayed on the paved road. But it is a short trip to Silver City, which is also located in our county, Mills County. Tiny, tiny little town, but I know that they've been working hard to welcome you all for breakfast that day as well.
Okay. And this will be when everyone's riding and they'll understand what the Les Hills are. And, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And for those of you who don't know, it's spelled, correct me if I'm wrong, Jenny, but it's Loess, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it's pronounced a little bit different than it looks like it should be spelled, but you guys will all be thinking about those hills as you exit Glenwood. Well, where can people go to find out more information? A lot of people are listening to this episode as they're driving to the start. So in case they're curious about, anything else about Glenwood, where can they go?
Sure. We do have a website. It is glenwoodragbrai.com. I will say that our Glenwood RAGBRAI Facebook page, I believe, has the most up-to-date information there. There is an Instagram as well, and I believe that's Glenwood RAGBRAI.
Okay. All right.
But I do think our Facebook page has has kind of the most current up-to-date things.
Okay. And then something I'll be mentioning throughout this episode, most of the communities will have paper maps that you can pick up, and typically they will be for the town for the next day. Is that the case in Glenwood, or will you also have your own maps as well?
Both.
Okay.
That's a great question. Yeah. Registration is at our high school, which is 504 East Sharp Street, which maybe everybody already knows, and registration packet pickup. And there we will have our own town tabloids, courtesy of our local newspaper, the Opinion Tribune, and we will also have Red Oak's tabloids as well. So
Perfect.
you can start preparing for the next day.
Awesome. All right, Jenny, thank you so much. We're looking forward to coming to your community in probably a matter of days by the time people are listening to this.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, day 1 has arrived of RAGBRAI, and us riders will be going from Glenwood to Red Oak. And with me right now is Elaine from Red Oak. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Nice to have you on the podcast. And I think riders will be pretty happy when they hit Red Oak, because it's, dare I say, a short day, because it is pretty short, 41 miles, but there is a little bit of climbing involved. So we may get to Red Oak early, and hopefully you have all kinds of fun stuff planned for us.
We absolutely do. You're going to get to enjoy a lot of scenic views on your way towards our beautiful town. A lot of farmland, of course, and we've had a great spring and summer full of rain, and so everything is green and lush, and we've been blessed as far as escaping some of the horrible weather systems that others have experienced. So, we're sitting in a good spot this year. A year ago, it was very, very dry and very brown around here. So
I know when we came through on the pre-ride, everything was very, green and springy. So I'm excited to come back again. And now that, the crops are real healthy and full.
Absolutely.
What role are you playing as far as RAGBRAI goes? And then, kind of tell us about your day job as well, because it's all about Red Oak.
It is about Red Oak. I actually am the executive director of the Red Oak Chamber and Industrial Foundation Association, and I've been here 9 years, and I get to promote our beautiful community and surrounding area, as well as our members here, and on a daily basis. And I never know what's going to walk through the door, which is kind of fun, because I can bounce and pivot very easily. And that was put to a test when we said yes, that we would love to host RAGBRAI for 2024. So with my position, working very closely with the city, I sit on the exec and advisory committees, and it's been a lot of fun. I was part of identifying those folks who are now committee chairs of our 20 committees, and I say I get teary-eyed thinking about all the meetings that we've had and how everybody has come together and stepped up and said, I want to be a part of this, or said, sure, Elaine, I'd love to help in any way I can. And with all of their hard work and time and effort that's been put in thus far, I just know that we are going to have a great event for you all to enjoy.
It's really, hopefully listeners out there are really thinking about that. When you mention 20 committees, almost everyone is probably volunteer. How much work and effort goes into getting ready for us to come through? And we're like a whirlwind. We'll swoop in, hit Red Oak, and then the next morning we swoop out, and then you guys will probably just be, shaking your head like, oh my, what just happened?
Well, I mean, that first 24 hours after you all have moved on to Atlantic and beyond, we're probably going to be catching up on some sleep.
Yeah.
tidying up a bit, but it's going to be fun to listen to everybody share the different experiences and stories that they've encountered while hosting you
For
all.
sure, yeah. And has Red Oak hosted RAGBRAI before?
Actually, we have. In 1976, that was the first year that Red Oak was an overnight. 1986. 1997, and the last time was before this year was 2009.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we've come through quite a few times.
Yes, and been in the area obviously a few times. So on other years.
Sure, yeah. How about give listeners a little brief history of Red Oak, if you have any fun facts or whatever you'd like to share.
So Red Oak is 155 years old this year. And it was actually named in the beginning Red Oak Junction. And at one point, the junction dropped off, and thus it became Red Oak. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that we are known for is our military representation in history. When you are downtown at our Fountain Square Park, you're going to see many different monuments that are dedicated to those folks who have served, right from Red Oak and Montgomery County. Red Oak is the county seat for Montgomery County. Something else that you are going to enjoy if you have not been to our community before, is our gorgeous courthouse. There's only one other one that looks similar to it in the state of Iowa. Ours is unique for the fact that it is not located in the actual downtown square. It's just off the square and has a presence of its own. So you can see it from the square, but a lot of pride, a lot of care through the years to take care of that historic building, as well as a lot of other buildings that you will be able to see when you're here.
Great. And you briefly mentioned, as we pedal into town, we'll be seeing lots of farmland and lots of green. And I want to know kind of, well, I already know, so I won't spoil it, but those last couple miles, there's a very unique vision that us riders will have as we cruise into Red Oak. So you've got to tell everyone.
Well, and that when we were sitting down with the marketing committee, which, okay, we're a town of 5,500. Okay, so we don't have 20 people on a committee,
Right.
So there were actually 4 of us sitting there and trying to figure out what's our theme. What do we want people to leave Red Oak with, and that they will always remember? I don't care what direction you are driving or arriving into Red Oak from. The one thing that stands out in the distance is our water tower. It is a deep orange. It says Red Oak on it. It can be seen from quite a ways out. And what sits next to it is our Chautauqua Pavilion. And the Chautauqua Park is located right there. That Chautauqua Pavilion was built in 1907.
Wow.
And it is the largest covered pavilion west of the Mississippi. And it is also listed on the National Historic Register, as we have a lot of different homes and businesses as such that are listed on the National Historic Register. But that landscape, that pavilion and the water tower and then the blue sky that we're all going to be able to enjoy that day. I've already put in my orders or my request for weather. And so far it's looking beautiful. So it's just going to be something that you will remember. So with that, we decided, how do we wrap in, the RAGBRAI event and that water tower and pavilion, and it was decided pedal to the pumpkin is our theme.
I love it. And when we came through on pre-ride, I do remember at maybe 5 miles from town that we started seeing the pumpkin, and I don't know exact mileage, but I guess riders can know that when they see that pumpkin, they are getting pretty darn close.
They're getting closer. And I should say, referred to the theme, Pedal to the Pumpkin, we refer to that water tower as the pumpkin.
Okay.
My husband and I, shortly after we were married, left the area for quite some time with his career and his position. We would come back to visit family, and so my children, who are now grown adults and have children of their own, always referred to it as the pumpkin at a young age. So it's just something that everybody, it's what it looks like from a distance. But yes, you will see that as you're getting closer to town, and as you ride in, and there's just a short little hill to get to the top, but that's where we feel is the best photo op for our visitors as they spend their day with us.
And that brings me to the next question. Now we know the theme, which is Pedal to the Pumpkin, and you will know as you get close to Red Oak, you'll see that pumpkin in the distance. But give us some idea of sights to see while we're in Red Oak, if your main campground is going to be close by, and entertainment, all that good stuff.
Perfect. So our main campground is located at the high school. That is going to be a short distance once you come in on what I lovingly call Old 34 and turns into Summit Street. You're going to turn to the north on 4th Street. Very easy to find. If you turn south or go south on 4th Street or any 3rd Street or such, that's going to bring you to our downtown. That's where all of our activities are happening, our entertainment for the day, the beverage garden. We have lots of our unique shops that are going to be open that day.
Oh, good.
We've got some restaurants that will also be open and making some specialties for our guests that day and the next night or the next morning. So there's lots going on that way. We actually have entertainment starting at noon, and the beverage garden opens at noon. We have a great lineup of entertainment. They all have a tie to the Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
So we kind of wanted to keep that all, instead of just picking out bands here and there, but they all have an Iowa tie and Southwest Iowa tie as well. So we have Gallivant that will be performing at noon. Gas and Grass is at 1:20. Into the Gray is at 2:40. The Mercuries are at 4:30. Commotion is at 6:20. And we have the infamous Pet Rock Band performing at 8:30.
Oh,
so
nice.
Got a
Okay.
great lineup.
That's awesome.
Beyond that, so after you've gotten, kind of settled in and you kind of want to tool around and see what makes up this beautiful community beyond, the other things that I've shared with you, I would encourage folks, and you can go to our website, which we'll talk about in a little bit, to get more information. But our Heritage Hill Tour is a very popular, draw for a lot of our tourists. We actually have a digital brochure on our website that you can flip through. We will also have some that will be on hand if you want a hard copy, but it's an opportunity to drive through the neighborhoods of the different historic homes, the different craftsman and Victorian homes, just some beautiful, beautiful homes that they don't build them like that anymore,
Sure.
But people have taken pride in restoring and keeping them, secure and looking beautiful, and landscaping as well all these years later.
Love it. And you mentioned the campground. The main campground was at the high school. Is that a pretty simple commute, whether it's walk or bike, to get to all the festivities, or will you have shuttles?
We will actually have shuttles because we are a town of 5,500. Our footprint's a little different than a larger city. So our main campgrounds is at the high school, but we do have other locations and have different charters and guests staying at the different parks and things. So we do have shuttles lined up, and there are routes, and that is reflected on a map that you'll be able to look through with the QR code. We have 2 information booths that folks can check in for any further information. One will be located downtown, one will be at the main campgrounds. You'll be welcomed in by some greeters as well, and they will also have a QR code badge that you can just scan and take a quick look. But as far as shuttle service, yes, it's you can ride your bike downtown. It's not that far, but if you're done riding for the day and you want somebody else to do the driving for you,
Sure.
We've got that covered too.
Okay, good. And so you mentioned the QR code, which I think, if I remember right, they're on lanyards, right? So your volunteers will have
Correct.
those. So easy enough. If you want to, scan the QR code, you'll have it on your phone. But of course, you'll have online, whether it's website or social media. Do you want to tell everybody those places?
Absolutely. So our RAGBRAI.Red Oak, Iowa Facebook page is a great place to look to for updated information there. We all are continuing to highlight, of course, our sponsors. We are very grateful for them to help us to be able to bring this event. Also, the different food vendors that we have, I believe, last count, we had 38 lined up between downtown and our main campgrounds. So, and we will have ice available downtown as well as out at the main campgrounds. So that's all covered. But some of those questions people may have, or they're interested in learning more what's going on that day, visit our Facebook page, again, RAGBRAI.Red Oak, Iowa. And if you would like to, prior to visiting, check out our website, our RAGBRAI website, which is RAGBRAI.RedOakIowa.com. And that's got information not only for our visitors, our riders that are coming to town, but it's also a resource for our residents as well. So
great. And we'll put those links in our show notes so people can access them if needed. And last question for you. You mentioned the Heritage Trail, but are there any must-see places that when we come to Red Oak, you want us to make sure we go check out?
So obviously the Water Tower, Chautauqua Pavilion, I mentioned the courthouse and such, but the Burlington Northern Depot is a historic World War II museum. I would encourage people to take a ride up there and see what all they have to offer. We also have our Montgomery County History Center will be open that day. And it's amazing the things that you can learn at both of those two places, the different ties. We even have in the area, in the county, there is a tie to the Titanic. So a lot of history, you're going to find in Southwest Iowa. You think that that's just a world away, but there's connections around the world that you'll find out living or as you visit the museums and encounter different folks and have those conversations, especially those folks who've lived here all their lives but have traveled and done things beyond.
And I was going to ask, because I think you said that you're the county seat?
Red Oak is.
Montgomery County seat. Yeah. So does that mean you have a Freedom Rock?
We do, and that's actually one of the memorials placed in our Fountain Square Park.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So you'll get to see that as well.
Okay. Well, all kinds of things to do in Red Oak. So thank you so much, Elaine, for taking the time to talk to us, and we are looking forward to visiting your community.
We are so looking forward to hosting you all, and you're not going to find friendlier folks in Southwest Iowa, or as in Southwest Iowa. We just are all about that friendly smile and that helpful way.
Nothing better than day one that we get to pedal to a pumpkin.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
On to day 2, another kind of short mileage day. From Red Oak to Atlantic, we've got a little under 41 miles and 1,700 feet of climb, which sounds kind of dreamy if you think of the rest of the week. And with me from Atlantic are both Bailey and Kelsey. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. We're glad to have you on.
Thank you so much for having us.
You bet. Can you give the listeners kind of a little, I don't know, both your roles, your titles, what you do, and how you are getting ready for RAGBRAI?
Absolutely. So I'm Bailey Smith, and by day I am the Atlantic Area Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, and then by night I serve as the Exec Chair for Atlantic RAGBRAI.
Okay.
And I am Kelsey B. Schorner. I am the Programs Director at the Atlantic Area Chamber of Commerce by day, and by night I am the Publicity Chair for RAGBRAI. But together they call us the Chamber Chick.
I love it. I love it. And listeners, if it's not available on the day of RAGBRAI, you have to make a trip to Atlantic to see the chamber because, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an old train depot, right?
Yes, it's an old Rock Island line depot. It was built in 1898, so pretty cool in here. It's pretty vintage, and a lot of the historic architecture was kept. Preserved, a lot of the tile and everything, so everyone likes to stop down here at the top of the street and see the beautiful building.
Yes, It's definitely beautiful. And listeners may notice it's a little echoey because it's a pretty big space.
It is. Very tall ceilings in here.
Yeah. So has RAGBRAI been through Atlantic before?
Yes. You can call us old pros if you want. We have hosted, this is going to be our 8th time hosting RAGBRAI.
Wow.
Yes, we're very excited. Most recently we hosted in 2019, so we're happy that RAGBRAI picked us to come back to. We love RAGBRAI. RAGBRAI's always been really good to Atlantic, so we're excited to welcome all our friends back and show them another good time.
I know when we came through on the pre-ride, and then also AP and I did a little drive along, and we had a blast both times in Atlantic.
That's good. We're glad.
Well, how about a brief history of Atlantic? Maybe if you have a fun fact or anything you want to share about your community.
Yeah. So Atlantic was incorporated in 1868 by a banker out of Chicago named Franklin H. Whitney. And he was he was after power, if you will. He wanted to see his name in history books. So he left Chicago because they weren't putting his name on buildings there. And he started traveling across the country with his friends, and they came upon a beautiful prairie, if you will, halfway between the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. And he looked at his bros and he said, "You guys, we should make this our town." And they did. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it happened, verbatim. So they did. They incorporated Atlantic, and legend says that they named Atlantic after doing a coin toss, trying to decide if they should call it the Atlantic or Pacific town. Yes. So today we have about 6,700 residents. Well, a lot of people think of Atlantic when they think of Coca-Cola because we have Atlantic Bottling in town. So there's a lot of Coca-Cola in this town, and Atlantic Bottling has been good to Atlantic.
All right. So a tiny switch of gears here. Riders will be coming in from Red Oak, and it's a fairly short day as far as miles go for a typical RAGBRAI day. Describe the train coming into town. Like, is it... Well, you tell us. What are we going to expect?
So the views in the train, if you will, you're going to see a lot of rolling hills. A lot of corn, a lot of soybeans. We are a very ag-heavy community, and also just Southwest Iowa in general. So you're gonna see a lot of corn, and I promise it is taller. It got way more than knee-high by the 4th of July.
Yeah, tasseled by 4th of July.
It's tasseled by the 4th of July. That's our new slogan. So they'll see a lot of tassel, interpret it as you will. blue sky and a beautiful breeze. That's what we've ordered for the weather that day.
You are not the first community that is. I mean, they're not guaranteeing it, but they have ordered beautiful weather and tailwind. So this is.
We absolutely make no promises. We'll never promise, but we did put in an order, so it's all we can do.
Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah.
And this time of year, especially for those people who are coming from non-Midwest, non-farmland areas, like the greens are so beautiful this time of year.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was raised in the city, Council Bluffs, when I moved to Atlantic, that's the first thing I noticed was the green grass with the black cows on it. It's just a picturesque scene. So.
Yes. So now we kind of know what to expect. We're going to see some beautiful farmland, make sure everyone's taking photos, all that good stuff. What about as they roll into town? I know that you have an amazing theme because I have a T-shirt that proves it. But also your theme, some sights to see, what do you have prepared for riders?
Absolutely. So we have an amazing hospitality team that has been brainstorming for months and months and months. And so as you turn south on Sunnyside Lane, we'll have an amazing welcome center, welcoming committee with the Wow Factor welcome tunnel that will have a DJ, have information, the Atlantic Palooza, swag. Being represented, and we just hope everyone feels super welcomed and enjoys our Wow Factor welcome tunnel that we have spent. We have had volunteers that have been just collecting things and brainstorming on how to make it super cool with the lights and the misters and all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah.
Fun. Okay, I'm looking at your logo right now, Atlanta Palooza. Technically, it's all downhill from here. You got to explain what that means.
Technically, when you talk elevation, the elevation from Atlantic to Winterset technically goes down. So technically, by statistical data, it is downhill from Atlantic to Winterset. But looking at it, you will see hills, but
the ending spot is a lower elevation.
Yeah, lower elevation. The elevation goes down as you cruise the route between Atlantic and Winterset.
So we were just hoping to give everyone just that mentality that you guys can do it, that it's not going to be that bad. It's going to be great.
It's technically downhill.
Okay, I love it. And it is true. It is true. You will start or you'll end at a lower point than you started.
Exactly.
All right. Is your main campground going to be, close to where vendors are, or will you have shuttles, or how is that going to work?
Absolutely. So the main campground will be out at our fairgrounds, which is kind of not directly in the middle of town, but we will have shuttles running around the clock so people can head to our historic downtown area where all the food vendors, the music, the music festival vibes, all of our businesses will be down in our downtown area. So a lot of shade.
A lot of shade, yes. We have a lot of trees downtown, so you can kick back under a tree and catch some shade while you're drinking a bud and having a snack.
All right. And how about entertainment?
So we have three stages that will be playing different genres of music all day. Those will start in the afternoon and then play on into the evening. So with the Pork Tornadoes being our headliner, they're just going to wrap up an amazing day. So we are looking forward to having some shady vibes and some great music festival happenings, such as we have all types of things going on. We have a feather crown station where you can make and grab a feather crown. That'll have glow-in-the-dark body paint station. Face painting. We've got our historic Santa's cabin open. Santa Claus himself will be here.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I don't want to get too excited. Now, Atlantic is the #1 destination for Christmas in the entire state of Iowa. We take it very seriously. We're very proud of it. So we put in a good word, called our friend Santa, and he'd love to come meet all of the amazing writers on RAGBRAI. So him and Mrs. Claus are going to be at Santa's Cabin, which is in City Park from 1 to 3 p.m.
And I think he was the one that suggested the foam party, because we weren't able to order the snow.
Yeah.
So foam will have to do. So foam party and Santa selfies,
popsicles. I mean, it's going to go wild. Go wild with Santa.
It's going to be epic.
It is.
I absolutely love it. And hopefully Santa has a summer outfit or at least a fan near him.
He does. He did say he'd pack his shorts. So
okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. And for those who haven't seen the Pork Tornadoes yet, I would maybe Google them. They are a fantastic
They're amazing
band, and that's going to be a really, really fun evening in Atlantic.
Yes, we're really excited to have them. We've never had them in Atlantic before, and they've really never played our region. So we're happy to bring them to our area and have a good time. They're great guys.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so since it's a little bit shorter day, in theory, people will get into Atlantic a little bit early. They'll set up their tents. They'll, head downtown to meet Santa and, check out all your entertainment vendors. Are there any must-see things in your town that exist year-round? Like, I'm thinking, I think that AP and I got some really good photos of some murals in your town. But what else do you have?
Yeah, so the murals that we have are on 4th Street. I think those are the ones that you and AP enjoyed, and so we'll have a stage down there. Then our beautiful depot will be essentially be downhill from all the festivities, so people are welcome to walk around and see the depot. And Santa's Cabin we're trying to feature as well, just because it is just a great part of City Park.
And then all of our businesses downtown. Our downtown is 85 storefronts with about a 90% occupancy rate. So we also encourage everyone to hop in there while they're downtown and do some shopping,
because they have planned for the last few months as well, different cool items to bring and to feature, and they can't wait to meet all the writers and chat with them. Yeah.
If listeners want to go somewhere online to find out more about Atlantic, I'm assuming that you have a Facebook page or maybe a website?
Absolutely. So AtlanticRAGBRAI.com is where you can find all things Atlantic RAGBRAI, our interactive map, vendor information, things like that. And then we're also very active on our Facebook and Instagram page, which are just Atlantic RAGBRAI.
And I am actually on your website right now, and there's a really good map that you mentioned, the interactive one. Will you also have paper maps available for people who get in early?
Absolutely. Our information centers will have our maps, and then we'll also have the scanned QR codes all around town so people can pull up that interactive map. Because in the interactive map, if you click on the vendors and things like that, you can see what they're serving, pictures of different sites to see and things like that. So between the QR code and the paper map, everyone should be well informed. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I cannot wait to get there and to see you guys. So thank you so much, Bailey and Kelsey, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. We're excited to have you.
All right. Well, up next, listeners, we have a little bit of a left turn, I guess we could say. But I caught up with Gina from Greenfield. Hello, Gina.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And everyone knows that Greenfield is not an overnight town. It is indeed the meat town on day 3. So people might be thinking, why is Greenfield on the Overnight Town podcast? Well, if people don't know, something significant happened in Greenfield that probably changed most of your lives.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Actually, it was on May 21st of this year. We had just got done meeting with Matt and Ann from RAGBRAI, going over, planning things for us to be a meetup town. And about 3 hours later, after they left town, we were hit with an EF4 tornado.
Oh, wow.
And it was absolutely devastating. Right now, the count is about 200 plus houses either completely destroyed or heavily damaged. And we also lost 4 lives that day as well in town. So it's been a pretty traumatic event, and a lot's been going on, but we are still ready for RAGBRAI to come through in a little over a week.
Amazing that you made the decision to have RAGBRAI continue, even though you had that huge catastrophe happen.
Yeah, it was kind of a hard decision at first. At first, we're like, oh, definitely this is not happening at all. We talked to a lot of people, our main people like the fire department, our EMS, our things like that. We actually don't have a functioning hospital in town anymore. So our hospital was hit. So our hospital is kind of running on a skeleton kind of crew out of our elementary school. And our ambulance, they're kind of out of there too. So our medical was a big concern. But everyone we talked to, we had a few conversations, and they're like, I think this is going to be good. We can handle it. We can do it. RAGBRAI gave us a lot of support. They've helped us with a lot of things that we weren't able to get done last several weeks, pretty much in our planning and preparation of things. But I think that we will be ready, and we're excited.
Well, I know I'll speak on behalf of all the riders. We are very excited that you said yes and that we get to come through. You know how you said over 200 homes were destroyed? What's the population of Greenfield?
We are a population of 2,000 is all. And I want to say we have about, I'm going to say somewhere a little over 800 housing units, so houses, apartments. So close to a quarter, if not more, of the actual homes and apartments in town were affected.
That's incredible. Can you maybe give us some highlights of the process of cleanup? I don't know if rebuilding's happening already, but where are you at in that process?
Well, it's pretty amazing. There are actually 2 houses, and you'll probably be able to see them when you come through, that have walls already.
Oh, you mean being rebuilt?
Yes, being rebuilt already. Less than 2 months from when they were completely destroyed. They were both, one of them actually has poured a new basement, and the other one was able to use their old foundation and basement. But there are walls going up on 2 homes, and maybe in a week we might even have another one going up that everyone will be able to see.
That's incredible.
Cleanup it's overwhelming, but it's going great. We had initially, when the tornado hit, I mean, everyone flooded to town. There's so many groups from all over the United States. Honestly, we don't even know half the people that were here. They just started coming to help. The first few days, like, every street was just filled with dump trucks and skid steers and excavators and people with rakes and chainsaws. And it was just absolutely, you can't even imagine what it was like until you actually saw it. But any group that we've talked to that has worked disasters, because a lot of groups, a lot of them are faith-based church groups that go around, but when we talk to them, and they go to lots of disasters, and they think that, like, Greenfield has done an amazing job. It's one of the best they've ever seen, like, everyone coming together and helping and getting it done. We're doing a 2-week push to try to get a lot of the demolition done and a lot of debris cleanup. I mean, there's still debris here and there. I mean, for a long time, we're going to be finding things. It's just in trees and on top of buildings and in lots, and just trying to get the lots that houses were lost on prepared so that they can be rebuilt on. So, I mean, it's amazingly, I don't know, you guys were through about a month ago, was it?
Yep, in
probably,
June.
for pre-ride?
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, just even since then, I mean, it looks, if you didn't live here, you wouldn't know what was lost, if that makes sense. Like, I've lived here most of my life, and so when I see it, it's just mind-blowing that so many homes are gone. But if people that have never been to Greenfield, they're going to be like, oh, it just looks like, some grassy yards. And in those yards, it would be, you look down a block and there's no houses, and there used to be like 10 of them, so
Wow.
It's just really hard. I mean, it looks beautiful at one point, because, I mean, everything's clean and it's kind of looking nice. And then, but also it's just so devastating knowing what was there just less than 2 months ago. And bikers will see as they come through, basically the whole path of the tornado through town, there's just no vegetation left. Like all the trees were lost. Grass is gone, shrubs gone, any sort of perennials and stuff. If they weren't, completely destroyed, they've been run over by equipment that's, digging out basements and,
Sure.
Demoing. So that's very stark to see, I think, is the lack of vegetation in that whole area.
So after this, terrible tornado comes through your community, destroys all these homes and lives, after you made the decision that, we want RAGBRAI to come anyway, I think that was when you changed up your theme. Do you want to share your theme?
Yeah, our theme now is Greenfield Strong, Rising After the Storm. And we've kind of adopted that as our logo and theme just in the whole recovery process. Even after RAGBRAI comes through and leaves, that's just going to be our theme ongoing, just because that's what we're doing. We're rising up again. We're going to build back and hopefully even better than before. But we were originally going to do a theme based on Cold Turkey, which is a movie that was filmed here in the 70s by Norman Lear was the director, and Dick Van Dyke was in it, Gene Stapleton, some really famous people. So we were going to have a really funny, fun time with that, but we didn't think that would be as appropriate now with what we are dealing with in town.
Sure. And I got to tour some facility. You'll have to remind me what it was. And I got to see Norman Lear's autograph on the wall.
Oh, yeah. At the Warren Cultural Center. So it was an opera house originally built, and it was restored in around 2009, 2010, reopened. And Norman Lear had actually signed there. He was here somewhat recently before he passed and signed on the wall. And there's other people that had signed on the wall that have been part of performances throughout the years there. So it's really cool that he always felt some connection here. It was one of the only films he actually directed, I believe.
Will you give us some must-see places while we're in Greenfield so that we can, support your community?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, I don't know if this is a must-see, but we really want everyone to experience it and see it. When you first come into town, we will be routing you on the south side of town, which was one of the harder hit areas of from the tornado. So we are going to be putting everyone down through there. I will say, for anyone that's listening, just try to be very respectful and stay on those roads. We're going to try to clean that route as much as possible. There's still lots of nails and glass and stuff. So we're going to put signs up like danger to bikes where we don't want people going. And there's still going to be dump trucks and excavators possibly working, and they're not going to be watching so much for anyone on a bike or foot, really. So as you're going down through that, we want you to be able to see that and experience it, but just be very cautious and try to stay on that, because we don't want any extra bike damage for anybody or anybody getting hurt or anything there. So I feel like that's our first must-see. And then you'll come onto the square, and as you kind of alluded to, that if you didn't go through that area, you would think nothing happened in Greenfield, and that's when you go up on the square. And I think that's our main must-see, and that's where most of the events are going to happen. Our public square district is on the National Register of Historic Places.
Oh, cool.
The whole square area is, So on all of the buildings, as you walk around, there's little plaques saying when they were built and a little bit of history about them. And that's where kind of all of our really cool buildings are. We talked about the Warren Cultural Center already. It's a restored opera house with a gift shop attached. And inside there that day, they are doing a display with pictures from before and after and during the recovery process of the tornado. And they're also going to be projecting some videos. They've gone around and gotten some stories from people in town from that day, what they've experienced, how they survived, and just some stories from local people that people can go walk through and look at the pictures and watch those videos so they can kind of see what happened that day for all of us. So I would say that's a must-see. We have a ton of local businesses that would love to see as many of you as possible. We're going to have an interactive map, a Google map that shows our local vendors and local businesses. So if you just walk around the square, enjoy the beautiful buildings, the historic buildings, and just kind of say hi to all of our locals and see all of our local businesses and what they have to offer for you guys while you're here. I think that's kind of must see. And then as you kind of go down the street, our square is going to have most of the vendors, but if you turn off the square and continue on the route, we have Hotel Greenfield, which was also restored in 2010. It was built in 1925 and it has been completely restored historically, but also with modern amenities. And we'll be serving there. They're going to have a small beer garden there. And then there'll also be Greenfield Bowl, which is going to be our larger beer garden. And then we have an Irish pub on the square as well. That will be serving as well. So I think those are all important stops for everybody.
Sure.
Food
Yeah.
and historic buildings.
So riders can easily support Greenfield by just going to your local businesses, going to the beer garden, eating from the local businesses. I mean, that's an easy way for riders to support you. Is there any other ways, like do you have a place people can go to online?
Yes. So we will that day, a lot of the vendors, especially the out-of-town vendors, want to help as well. And they will be collecting tips that day like they normally collect tips. And they're going to be donating those back to Greenfield. Also, on all of the tip jars we're going to put around, we'll have places where people can donate cash, but we'll also have a QR code that people can scan to donate electronically that day. We also created some t-shirts with our logo on it, our Greenfield Strong Rising After the Storm logo, which I think is pretty cool. So we'll have those for sale that day. We did some online sales, but we will have them available that day. And we're going to have a system where if you want to have one shipped right to your house, we'll have you fill out an envelope with your mailing address on it, and you can pay us right there. And we'll just give them out the next day, and they'll be there when you get home, hopefully. We also have koozies. There was Hawkeye Truck Equipment, I believe was who it was, donated koozies to us to sell for recovery effort. So we'll have those with our logo on it as well. And then anyone that's listening that's not going to be on the ride, we have the Greater Greenfield Community Foundation. And if you Google that, it will come up. But they are our big nonprofit that is collecting donations that are going to be distributed to local people and businesses to help support recovery efforts. So that would be somewhere where you can go online to donate if you're not going to be in town that day.
And I will for sure put that link in our show notes so that people can go there. They can donate before they get there, and then they can spend money when they go through the
Absolutely.
whole thing. So, well, good, Gina. Gina, I'm so happy to hear things are getting along as far as recovery goes. And I know you have a long ways to go still, but we're really happy to come see your community.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping. Everyone has been so kind from the RAGBRAI community. I mean, just the RAGBRAI team itself, but then also just people from all over. You guys had posted the link right the day after the tornado to the Community Foundation, and the person that looks at those donations, they're like, oh, there's people that say, I'm coming for RAGBRAI. We just want to donate. How can we help? And on all the different RAGBRAI Facebook pages, people have just been so kind and asking how they can help and telling us how excited they are to come. And that helps solidify our decision to continue with the ride coming through, is because people were just so kind and have been generous so far. And even if they don't give us any money when they're here, we just want to see all of your faces and just show our gratitude to everyone that's been supporting us along this journey so far.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Gina, and we'll see you in a matter of days.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, listeners, we decided to make this episode a two-parter. Both episodes are ready for you right now, so look for part 2 wherever you get your podcasts. In part 2, you'll learn about the town plans for Winterset, Knoxville, Mount Pleasant, and Burlington for RAGBRAI LI. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in to the Just Go Bike podcast. Murph and AP will be back next week. In the meantime, check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. And if you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe you have a topic in mind, email them at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. Until next time, just go bike! Theme song by Ryan Steer. Logo by Suzanne Milosevic. Produced by Kathy Murphy. Social media by Andrea Parrott. Intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.